Let's jump right into this explainer, guys, and unpack what is honestly a mind-bending, invisible agreement between humans and wild predators. I mean, it's a complete biological paradox that defies literally everything we think we know about our place in the food chain. We're going to explore a story that goes back way further than civilization, further than agriculture, and actually decode the exact reasons why you are far safer in the wilderness than you probably feel.
So picture this. You're fast asleep, totally out, probably drooling on your sleeping bag, with absolutely zero awareness of the world around you. By any standard biological definition, you are completely helpless. Now, you're not in your secure, locked bedroom, you're out in the wilderness, wrapped up in thin fabric, while actual apex predators are roaming right outside. We're talking lions, bears, wolves, creatures that can literally hear a heartbeat from across a clearing and see perfectly in the pitch black. And yet, you wake up to see the morning. Every single time. Why on earth isn't this slow, quiet, extremely vulnerable human treated like an all-you-can-eat buffet?
It feels incredibly vulnerable, doesn't it? Just one, frankly, embarrassingly thin layer of nylon separating you from the deep, dark forest. But here's the thing. Your safety isn't just dumb luck. And it definitely isn't because predators just happen to wander past your tent. Now, it's actually a deeply wired biological reality that we're about to decode together. The reason you don't get eaten is a fascinating, multi-layered story fundamentally shaped by human history.
Let's start with part 1, the genetic legacy of fear.
Okay, a really incredible study published back in 2019 by researchers at UC Santa Cruz proved something absolutely wild. They went out and set up audio recordings near mountain lions, pumas, out in California, and they played normal human voices, just regular people talking, basically playing a podcast in the woods. And you know what happened? The pumas bolted. Turns out apex predators are genuinely, instinctually terrified of our voices.
Let's break down exactly what they found, because it is staggering. These pumas fled from human voices just as fast, actually, sometimes even faster than they fled from the sound of barking dogs. And they didn't just casually walk away, they abandoned fresh kills. I mean, think about that. These absolute units of predatory efficiency literally abandoned hard-earned meals just to escape the sound of humans chatting. From a survival standpoint, giving up a fresh kill is a massive caloric cost. They're essentially working for free. But the sheer terror of being near humans heavily outweighed the biological drive to eat.
So here is the absolutely crucial point to take away from this explainer. Human history actively shaped predator behavior through natural selection. See, humans have been active predators for around 2 million years, and during that time, our ancestors were, well, utterly ruthless. Between mastering fire and hunting, we wiped out massive creatures like mammoths and saber-toothed cats. We systematically eliminated any bold predators that dared to come near our camps. The wolves or big cats that messed with humans, hunted down, gone. The ones that kept their distance and treated humans as something terrifying, they survived. They reproduced. Over thousands and thousands of generations, we essentially genetically engineered the survivors to fear us. So today, when a wild cat catches your scent, a deeply wired, ancient biological memory screams at its nervous system to stay far, far away.
Moving on to part 2, breaking the hunting template.
Beyond that ancient history, your immediate sensory footprint right now, tonight, completely scrambles a predator's instincts. Remember, wild animals have noses that are tens, even 100,000 times more sensitive than ours. Big cats have a Jacobson's organ to literally taste the air. Wolves can pick up a scent from 2 miles away. When they approach your campsite, they're expecting to smell natural, familiar prey, like a deer. Instead, what are you broadcasting? Synthetic nylon? Processed snacks? Heavily scented soap? Maybe some bug spray? You just don't fit their biological template for food. And out in nature, anomalies trigger extreme caution, not aggression. You see, predators aren't these reckless movie monsters that attack everything in sight. They run a very strict survival calculation. Think about it. A lion doesn't have health insurance, right? A broken leg means a slow, agonizing death by starvation. So every single engagement requires evaluating risk. First, they assess unfamiliarity, and humans are wildly unpredictable. Second, they evaluate size. When we stand up, that bipedal posture is perceived as a massive threat display, sort of like a bear rearing up on its hind legs. Finally, they weigh the caloric reward against the risk of injury. Going after a strange, upright, chemical-smelling human, it fails that math every single time, especially when there's a perfectly normal, predictable rabbit or impala somewhere nearby. Which brings us to part 3, the light sleep advantage.
You might feel completely unconscious when you're asleep in that tent, but you really aren't. As you sleep, your brain cycles through stages of deep sleep and lighter REM sleep. And during those lighter stages, your brain maintains what scientists call the sentinel function of sleep. It's basically keeping a vigilant watch on your environment, actively filtering sensory input, and getting ready to pull you awake if it detects something anomalous, like, say, the loud snap of a twig or a totally unfamiliar scent. You are literally, biologically wired to stand guard over yourself while you rest.
Understanding why this gave us such a massive survival advantage is super important here. Natural selection was, honestly, absolutely brutal on this front. The humans in our evolutionary history who slept too deeply, the ones who were completely unresponsive to nighttime threats, yeah, they simply didn't wake up at all. They were eaten. The light sleepers, on the other hand, the ones who could go from dead asleep to on their feet in 3 seconds flat, survived, reproduced, and became our ancestors. We inherited these highly tuned light sleep cycles specifically because our legacy assumed there would always be things in the dark worth waking up for.
So, far from being helpless meat in a sleeping bag, your inherited biology is actively protecting you even while you're unconscious. You are running a highly sophisticated early warning system. Plus, humans almost always camp in groups, right? Well, predators typically hunt for separation. They want to isolate an individual. A whole camp full of sleeping humans represents a collective, coordinated response. If just one light sleeper wakes up and makes a noise, the whole group is up. And that chaotic, high-risk situation is exactly what wild predators have evolved to avoid at all costs.
But of course, we have to look at part 4, when the calculation breaks.
Because we know attacks do happen, right? But they almost universally occur when that normal biological calculation we just talked about gets broken. A normal, healthy predator avoids us and hunts familiar prey. But exceptions happen due to desperation, injury, or severe human interference. For example, a predator might be starving because its natural habitat was destroyed, or maybe it's been completely desensitized to human fear because it was fed by tourists, so it suddenly associates our scent with a free meal instead of extreme danger. The normal rules of the wild really only apply when the ecosystem is intact and the animal is healthy.
Just look at the most famous historical examples of man-eaters. Take the legendary lions of Tsavo, which killed dozens of railway workers back in 1898. They weren't displaying normal behavior. It turns out one of them had severe dental damage, which made hunting its natural, tough-skinned prey almost impossible. Or the Champawat tiger, responsible for over 400 deaths in the early 1900s. They found she had shattered canine teeth from an old gunshot wound. These weren't normal apex behaviors. They were tragic exceptions driven by severe physical injuries that pushed desperate, starving animals into overriding their inherited caution.
Finally, let's look at part 5, the ripple of fear. Our inherited scariness as a species is so profound that it actually causes a massive ecological cascade right down the entire food web. Going back to that UC Santa Cruz study, it showed that our mere presence reshapes ecosystems. Pumas actively avoid areas with high human activity. Because the pumas leave, deer face less predation, so their populations surge and they overgraze the vegetation. At the same time, medium-sized predators like coyotes also clear out, which means rodent populations suddenly explode unchecked. We literally alter the behavior of every single predator layer on the continent without even interacting with them directly, simply by being the one thing evolution told them to fear most.
So the next time you zip up your tent for the night, I want you to remember this number, 10,000. You carry 10,000 generations of successful, battle-tested survival right there inside your DNA. You are the direct descendant of the creature that mastered fire, the creature that wiped out the megafauna, the hyper-vigilant light sleeper that always survived the night. That anxiety you feel in the dark, it's not weakness, it's just your ancient instincts keeping you sharp. But that thing outside the tent, trust me, it knows better than to come in.
All of this leaves us with a pretty provocative thought. We altered the very genetics of wild predators by becoming the thing they fear most. If we truly are the most dangerous and feared animal on the planet, radiating this invisible wave of biological terror just by going camping, how should we navigate and protect the natural world we've so completely reshaped? It's definitely something to chew on next time you're out under the stars. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, guys, and keep asking the big questions.